to come talk to you guys about what happened to me and what landed me in the hospital. And it is completely my fault, 100%. Let's give you a little bit of background history on me. At this current age, during this video, I am 49 years old, African American, as you can see. So you know what that means. I have throughout my life, I've gotten diabetes. When I was in my late 20s, about 26. I've seen it all my life. I grew up, I was raised by the generation that raised the baby boomer generation. So a lot of Gen Xers like me would have said that was your grandparents. But for me, coming along to my mother when she was 42 years old, I was raised by that generation. So I seen what diabetes and blood pressure could do to, but they were older, you know. So I seen what it did to a lot of that generation of amputations, you know, just having strokes and people having heart attacks and all of that. And that's, you know, at that time we all thought, oh, that's, you know, old people stuff, you know, that happens to old people. Never in my lifetime did I think at 26 years old I was going to become a diabetic. So in this video, I want to be extremely transparent as I can, because I feel like that there are people out there like me who have diabetes, who have high blood pressure, who are thinking they are invincible, who are thinking that, oh, this ain't going to affect me. I'm built different. I've heard that before. Some people say, oh, that ain't gonna affect me because I'm built different. I'm this and I'm that. Yeah, I used to think a little bit of that, but you know, I've never been a cocky kind of guy. I've always been a shy kid growing up. But so if I were to go into a story of what happened with me, and I'm gonna try to compact it as much as possible. Okay, so I've had two warning shots, and now three. I had, as you guys know, in 2018, I had vision issues. I had what's called a retinopathy, or I've had retina detachments in my right eye and my left eye. First happened in my left eye, where I woke up one morning and there was a smear of blood across my vision. I got surgery. Not a surgery like people say, oh, you can get like cataract surgery or glaucoma surgery. This is a surgery where they go into the very back of your eye because your retina's back there. They laser everything, burn all those nerves that are bleeding, and then they inject your eye with a gas bubble to push the retina back down to keep it flat. Okay, so the gas bubble, as it dissipates, the retina heals to the back of the eye. So now in this eye, I'm going to say I have about 75, maybe 80% vision. A little bit of my, peripheral vision has been affected. A year later, I had another one in this eye, but this one was different. It was like half of my vision disappeared. So from here, I could see everything. Over here, I could see nothing. And that happened because, again, in the back of the eye, or the back of the eye wall, the retina peeled up. Okay? So I had to go in, have that pushed back down. What happened that second time where I had to have two retinopathies was that a clot of blood had gotten trapped in between the retina and the eye wall. So I had blood in there and it was keeping me from seeing. So they had to go in, peel my retina up, pull that blood out, push my retina back down with that gas bubble. Okay? Now, fast forward to about 2021, 2022. I was outside clearing snow off of the car, and I stepped on a mound of snow, and the snow gave way up underneath my feet, and I just dropped down. And when I did it, it felt funny, but it didn't hurt. I went to work at 7 o'clock that night. By 10 p.m., I was barely able to walk, barely able to stand, barely able to sit. So then I get home and I find out I can't even lay down. There's no comfortable position for me. Fast forward to that, go to the doctor and find out that the discs in my spine had compressed and pushed all the cartilage out of in between the discs in my spine, and that cartilage was laying on my sciatic nerve. Sciatic nerve pain will damn near make you lose your soul. It's terrible. It went from my lower back, down my butt cheek, down the back of my thigh, down the back of my calf, up underneath my foot, and then back up. And it just kept running down and running back up, running down. And I was like, this pain is acting like it's on a roller coaster on my body. And it drove me damn near insane. I ended up having to go in, and they were concerned that they would have to do surgery, but thank God they didn't. They did some spinal injections directly into my spine. No diddy. And they had something called a nerve deadener, which made the nerve in my leg just go dead. So technically, I'm still in pain. I just can't feel it. For a couple of months later, I end up having the same thing, disc compression in my neck, but it's still my spine. And that affected my left shoulder, down my left arm. And one day I was sitting here telling my wife, I was like, babe, my arm is in pain and it's numb. I think I'm having a heart attack. Now keep in mind, I'm diabetic and I have high blood pressure. So I rush off to the emergency room, and they do x-rays again, and they find out I'm suffering from compression again. So they go in and inject, and now I have a dead nerve in the top of my neck going down my arm. That left me with a kind of a really numb pinky right here. It's kind of hard to feel some things sometimes, and it just feels numb and funny like your lip would when you go to the dentist. Okay, so fast forward to Mother's Day. By this time, I hadn't been taking my medication. I'm being totally transparent with you guys. I hadn't been taking my medication. I hadn't been exercising. I hadn't been eating right. I was going through some financial hardship because I had gotten laid off from my factory job back in October of 2024. I figured it would be easy enough to get a job, but I didn't think about the factors of me being an older guy. I have factory experience. In today's changing society and factories pretty much leaving the country, there weren't a lot of jobs at that time of year because of the holidays. And then I think my resume was pretty crappy, so I had to go have it remade just recently. So I did that, and I started putting resumes out. I'm looking for jobs, and we're coming up on 8 months, and I've been unemployed. Now I've had money stacked from just a severance package that we had from the job. I had some investments in crypto. I had some investments in the stock market, and I had 401k money and all of that stuff. But we were going through it pretty quick. Mother's Day comes up. All right, so I'm not taking medications. I'm not eating right. I'm going to, I'm justifying it in my mind saying, oh, well, I can go get a $5 meal from McDonald's, give me a burger, some fries, some chicken nuggets, and a drink. None of that stuff is healthy for a diabetic or blood pressure person, okay? I love Taco Bell. I used to work there. I was a manager at Taco Bell for a long time. I go get my resume professionally fixed, and I'm starting to circulate it again, and I'm starting to get a few hits. At the end of the day, nobody put that food in my mouth. Nobody put a gun to my head and said, eat this burger. Nobody said, stop taking your medicine. I did that. That Sunday was Mother's Day, so 4 a.m. Monday morning. I wake up to go to the bathroom, which was a frequent thing for me because of my blood sugars being elevated. Probably every 2 hours throughout the night, I was in the bathroom peeing. This night, my feet hit the floor and I have a pain from right up underneath my groin and in the middle of my thigh and the inside, going down my thigh all the way down to the middle of my calf muscle. Okay, the pain feels like somebody's like pinching you like this. It feels like somebody is taking a lighter and burning you, and then it also feels like it's an itchy kind of pain. And I think to myself, I'm like, what is that? Did my boxers wrap around my leg too tight, or did I, sleep funny or something? I get back into bed. I get up in the morning about 7. I get my son up for school. I walk him to school around 8. I get back home and I'm still having this little pain, and I start eating extra strength Tylenol like M&Ms. All throughout the day Monday, right? Pain gets a little bit worse. By 3 a.m. that Tuesday morning following, or that Tuesday night at 3 a.m., I wake up and I'm in pain. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, I did that Glock 43 shoot video in the woods, and I think I may have picked up a tick. And I had her check my whole body. She said, you don't have a tick, but you got some red streaks on the inside of your thigh going, up and down your leg. And I put my symptoms in ChatGPT, and it told me that I could possibly have a blood clot. And it said to seek medical attention immediately. And like guys, man, oh man, I'll be all right. That ain't going, I'm gonna be okay. So my wife gets mad at me. You know what I'm saying? My wife is Colombian, beautiful, and she threatened to kick my butt if I didn't, get up and go to the hospital right then and there. And I said, nah, let's go. If it's still really intense like this, I'll go to the hospital in the morning after we walk our son to school. So that next morning, Tuesday morning comes, I can't walk. I can't. She ends up having to walk our son to school. So I hobbled downstairs, drove myself to the emergency room. I got to the emergency room. Now at this time I'm not employed, so I didn't have insurance. And I think that was another factor that I was saying, well, I'm not going to the emergency room. I don't have insurance. They're going to treat me like crap, which wasn't the case, just to let you guys know. The staff there was amazing. So I get to the emergency room. They check my vitals. My blood pressure is, I'm going to say it's about 198 over 114. Yeah, I'm a walking corpse. Yep. That's the silent killer. Okay? They call high blood pressure and diabetes the deadly duo. If you have one, you're going to end up with the other if you don't treat it and keep it under control. Okay? So, they check my blood sugar. It is over 450. If you know anything about blood sugar, it shouldn't have been no higher on a high day after I've eaten something crazy. It shouldn't be no higher than 120. Yeah. I was about to let you guys down. But that's not even the caveat. When you have diabetes and it's uncontrolled, you develop something called neuropathy. Neuropathy is a desensitizing of your nerves in your extremities, so your fingers, your toes, your feet. What neuropathy feels like in your feet is like you're walking on small little pillows up underneath your feet. It feels like the bottom of your feet is swollen. You don't feel anything. I could step on a cold floor and I couldn't tell you that the floor was cold. I just knew my feet were on a floor, but I couldn't tell you what the temperature of the floor was. So with neuropathy in place, one night, and I don't know when, this is the scary thing that happened. I don't know when this happened. I hit my pinky toe on my right leg or my right foot. I hit my pinky toe either on the dresser or on my bed, but I broke the toe. I'm going to roll in a picture of the toe that my wife took from me while I was in the hospital. As you can see, there's a lot of discoloration. There's a lot of pitting. I don't understand where that came from, and then there's extreme swelling. I'm sorry, I don't mean to gross you guys out, but like I said, I wanted to be completely transparent, because I know some of you guys are going through this. and I want you to get it under control and taken care of. Put your big boy pants on, your big girl pants on, and get to work, because this is what you're going to look like if you end up with neuropathy and breaking your toe. All right, so with the toe being broken and I'm not knowing it, I'm just walking around with extremely high blood pressure, extremely high blood sugar. When you have neuropathy and then now you have add in a broken bone in that area that neuropathy is present, you develop an infection. They call it sepsis when it gets extreme. Sepsis got into my bloodstream, and it ended up manifesting itself as that pain in my leg and that redness. The redness was caused by the blood vessels in my leg leaking blood from the toxicity in my blood. They call it cellulitis. Cellulitis sometimes doesn't manifest itself. I was blessed. I'm not going to say luck, because luck has nothing to do with it. It was all God. And if you don't want to talk about God, the YouTube is a big place. Go somewhere else. You're welcome to go. Because I was days away from letting you guys down, gun nuts. I was days away from my family making arrangements, if you understand what I'm saying. I almost killed myself. I have a 10-year-old son. I have 2 daughters, 28, 20. They're my stepdaughters, but you can't tell my heart that. Those are my babies. I have a beautiful wife. I got my dog Levi. I got cats here in the house that I'm kind of fond of. But I almost let everybody down because I was being selfish. Because I wasn't taking care of me. It sounds funny to be saying I'm selfish and I'm not taking care of me. It's almost kind of backwards. It's almost backwards to say that, you would think somebody that's selfish would say, oh, me first, and I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to put the best clothes on and things like that. But I wasn't eating the best foods. You ever heard of Dr. Sebi? S-E-B-I. Dr. Sebi. Put him in your search bar on YouTube. He talks about electrical foods. I didn't understand what that meant when he was saying electrical foods. The body is made of electricity. You need to eat electrical foods. Dr. Sebi is saying, if you are what you eat, you need to eat life. You need to eat living food. You need to eat fresh, raw fruits and vegetables. Emphasis on the vegetables. Certain fruits don't have as much sugar as, say, like watermelon or cantaloupe or pineapple. Fruits like blueberries are lower in sugar. Fruits like strawberries are lower in sugar. And then there's a few others out there. But those are the things I needed to be eating. Natural sugar that comes from natural food is what the body is made of. All your vitamins and nutrients, your potassium, your magnesium, your vitamin D, your K2, your zinc, omega-3s from avocados. Okay? All of those things were missing from my diet because of the dead food I was eating. I had gotten on Dr. Sebi's diet right before my eye surgeries. Let me tell you how effective Dr. Sebi's diet is and how he figured out we're eating the wrong stuff. 5 weeks before I go to have my surgery, I go to my doctor. She takes my weight. I lost 12 pounds in 5 weeks of eating this way. She checks my blood pressure and she says, And I get nervous. My heart starts beating because I'm like, oh man, my blood pressure's high. They come in and check my blood and they do what's called an A1C test. A1C test is an average of your blood sugars for about 3 months. Okay, so it goes on a scale from 1 to 14 is where they kind of stop tracking it. If you go any higher than 14, you're in bad shape. At this visit, when I go into the hospital because of my leg, my blood sugars, A1C is off the scale. They said your blood sugar A1C was higher than 14. I'm begging for death at this point. And I didn't even know I knew it, but I wasn't taking care of myself to avoid it. I have to be accountable. I'm being accountable to you guys. Anybody that watches this video, you don't owe me a subscription to my channel. You don't owe me a comment. I've gotten a lot of comments of people chewing me out and telling me to take care of myself, and people mad at me because I wasn't taking care of myself. I'm on the job now. But back to Dr. Sebi, and I'm my doctor there. She asked me again about 5 minutes later, because she checked my blood pressure again. She takes her stethoscope off and she says, your blood pressure's under control. Your A1C is about 6.25, which is good if you're kind of figuring that out. She says, you've lost 12 pounds. What are you doing? Now listen to that. A doctor says, what are you doing? Meaning, sooner or later I'm going to have to stop treating you, and you're going to have to stop coming in here and paying my bills by giving me your money to treat you because you're taking care of yourself. That should have been a wake-up call, right? That should have been a shot. My eyesight was my first warning shot from God. My back was my second warning shot. Okay? I tell her I've switched to this alkaline food diet from Dr. Sebi. I used to eat these things called Kalamata olives. They're dark purple colored olives. I love olives. I like all spectrums of olives. But the Kalamata olives are my baby. I told her I was eating about damn near a jar a day. I would snack on them. I would mix them in with my salads. They were just delicious to me. I would make baked chicken or, whatever, and eat. I would have a jar of olives on the side, and I would eat my chicken and stick my fork in there and grab me a few olives. And she goes, well, they're full of salt. And I said, yeah, but I'm not drinking soda. I'm not drinking juice. I'm barely drinking coffee. The only thing I'm drinking is water. And then she says, I have to take you off of some of your medications. She took me completely off of one of my blood pressure medications because, now keep in mind, at this time, I'm on a range of about 7 medications between my diabetes, my blood pressure, and my cholesterol medication, right? So she says, I have to take you off of this medication because it's making your kidneys work too hard to keep pumping moisture or water out of your body to lower your blood sugar levels and stuff like that. They don't need to work that hard. Also, I need to have you cut in half your dosage of your diabetes medication that you're on. I was on something called Janumet, which is a mixture of metformin and a mixture of another pill, which I think has been discontinued now because of some health side effects they found out. She takes me off these medications, she reduces my dosage, and then she says, don't tell anybody what you're doing. You're going to put us out of business. It should have been a way of life for me. I didn't continue. I got off of it. I got back onto the Taco Bell and everything like that. And then that's why I can say I'm accountable, because I was eating one way that had changed my life, and then I went back to eating another way that was destroying my life. And I made that choice. Okay? After I'm taken off of this medication, I stop with the diet and I move on in time. Like I said, I had the issue with my back, tried to get back on the diet for a little bit, couldn't quite make it there. I ate a lot of kale, which is a superfood, avocados, the olives, fruits, vegetables, cucumbers, tomatoes. If you Google Dr. Sebi's food list or Dr. Sebi alkaline food list. The list will come up. You can take these foods, you can mix and match it. You can make your own salads, make your own smoothies, whatever you need to do. You can create your own salad dressings. He does not have any. If there's a food out on the market and you want to say, well, can I eat this while I'm on Dr. Sebi's diet? But your intention is to stay religiously on Dr. Sebi's way of eating, and it's not on that list, you don't eat it. I didn't eat any meat. I didn't eat any cheese. I didn't eat any honey. So basically anything that came from an animal, if it had eyes, if it had legs, if it ran, swam, or jumped, if it had a mother and a father, don't eat it. If it's processed, if you can't go out in nature and find it this way, if it's been changed in any way, you don't eat it. Now, olives are kind of the exception to that because they're made in seawater, that briny salt. But they're picked from the tree and they're super green and they're just left in the seawater and they turn them different colors. Okay? Now, fast forward to this time where I'm laying in the hospital and I had taken a break from YouTube because of all of my health issues. About 2 years I was gone from YouTube. So I'm laying there in the hospital bed and I say, you know what? I'm not going to let this time around stop me from creating my content and staying in touch with my gun nuts. So I began to record myself laying in the hospital. As you can see on my shorts, you'll see that I was laying in the hospital and I had an IV in this hand and they put another port in this arm. Okay? And then they come in and they say, well, we have to take blood, but we can't take it from these ports. This port or this port. It has to come from a fresh source. So they stuck me here on my arm, got blood. A couple hours later, they had to come in and stick me again from a fresh place. It can't be from the same place they've already taken blood or they have the IVs already put in. They have to take it from a fresh place. So I got stuck again. In the middle of the night, about 4:30 a.m. of my hospital visit, they had to come and get blood. Stuck me again. It's my fault. It is completely my fault. I'm laying there, gun nuts. I can't sleep because they're coming in every hour to 2 hours to take blood, to check my blood pressure, to check my blood sugar. I began to pray. I prayed more than I've probably ever prayed in my life. God was like, oh, now you want to come to the throne, huh? Now you want to submit yourself to me. Because I didn't realize how close I was to death. The doctor told me if I had waited 4 more days and just dealt with the pain, I was gone. And I began to pray a lot throughout the night. And God says to me, and I know some of you say, well, God ain't talk to you. God talks to you. You just don't listen. He sounds like your voice. He said to me, after your son was born, and you realized that you were older, and you realized that you had more time behind you than you do in front of you, you asked me for 40 more years of life. I can do that. But you're not doing what you're supposed to do on your end. You're not taking care of your vessel. So why would I give you 40 more years of life? You don't get the blessing without the work. That's me. That's not God. That's me. I realize that. I don't get the blessing without the work. I don't. Because I didn't know that I had so much love out here in the world. I didn't know that I was getting ready to let a lot of you guys down. Being irresponsible with my life. I'm not going to say selfish. I'm going to say I was irresponsible. When I first got out the hospital, I went to the grocery store. I bought one of those bag salads. I bought a cucumber and a tomato. Just a little bit over $5. I had the choice, gun nuts. I was being irresponsible. God ministers to me in that hospital bed that night and tells me I'm messing up. And he says to me, my son, this is your last warning shot. The next time you mess up your vessel, you will stand in before me in judgment. The next day comes. They come in, check my blood pressure, check my diabetes. And the reason for them taking blood is so they can monitor the bacterial infection in my blood and the levels. They had me hooked up here and here with IVs, like I told you, and they were draining antibiotics into me. They also had to come over to me and stick a needle in my stomach every 3 hours and inject an antibiotic into my belly fat. I got plenty of belly fat for them to inject in, so there it is. All that effort that hospital staff put in, they got all that bacterial level infection down where it was safe enough for me to go home. They got my blood sugars and my blood pressures down where it was safe enough for me to go home. I think my last blood pressure check was 162/80. I drink my water, I take my medicines, and I do my insulin injection in the fat of my arm or in my stomach at night. I'm going to work myself off of the medications, but I want you guys to know that what I experienced was real, and you guys have to make the changes to your life. You don't want to end up in the hospital like that, because what if my blood sepsis didn't manifest itself in a symptom? I could have been walking around one day and just dropped. If you're diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, if you have any chronic illness, take care of yourself. If you don't have insurance, look up Medicaid and get signed up. There are things out here to help you. I didn't know there were so many programs out here to help me. And that's ignorance. And I was ignorant. And that's what happened to me, gun nuts. It was my fault. Please take care of yourself, guys. Gals, if you're watching, I love y'all. You've changed my life. Please, I'm gonna do my part. I want y'all to do yours. Because I need y'all to watch my videos and, hit my website up and buy some merch and all that other stuff to help your boy out. But you have family also that you will let down. You may think that nobody cares about you, but you're going to let somebody down if you don't take care of yourself. Put God first. And then love yourself, because you are your first family. If you are not taking care of your health, you cannot make wealth, because your health is your first wealth. God bless you, gun nuts, and happy shooting.